This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay. Good morning, Rabbi. So we're learning Sefer Chagai. We're in Parak Beis, Pasuk Yud Zayin. Here is the plan, Be'ezus Hashem. We're going to try to finish Sefer Chagai today. And then, Be'ezus Hashem, next week, we would like to begin Sefer Malachi. Malachi is 3 prakim. Also, it's the Haftarah of Shabbos Hagadol. So I think it's worthwhile to learn those 3 prakim in the 4 weeks before Pesach. Okay. So the Navi Zechariah tells us, Pasuk Yud Zayin, the Navi Chagai, thank you, tells us that take note of the fact that before you put in efforts to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash, things were not going well. We learned last week when you had a mound of 20 of grain, only produced 10. When you had wine to draw, 50 only produced 20, and we discussed the ratios of the wine to the wheat were not the same. But the bottom line is that things were not going well for you when you did not take the initiative to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash. Pasuk Yud Zayin. He kesi eschem, and I hit you. Bashidafain, ovayerakoin. I hit you with shidafain, with the wind blast, vayerakoin, and with blight, type of famine where the crops are affected.
Also in Yonah, when it says that kikayon is the gourd.
There it
when he
says
sent the ruach.
Baruach yam charishes. Says stifling. Shidafain we have Masechta Tainus. It's a type of wind blast where the crops are affected. Uvabarid, and with hail is komas yedechem, all your handiwork. And still, Rivan Shalom says you didn't get the message. Ve'ein eschem elai, and you were not with me. What does that mean? With me. The Radak says ve'ein atzmechem. Kalaymer im kol zeh, with all this einchem elai, you didn't come to me. V'chein yavi oisai. In other words, eschem means you were not to me. You did not come close to me. Simun alavavchem. So please pay attention. And the way the Malbim learns that to mean Simun alavavchem means put your heart into it. In other words, that you should build the mikdash b'kavana salev, with your heart. Min hayom hazev v'mala, from this day and beyond. From this day and beyond. In other words, take note of the turn of how things will improve for you from this day and on. Miyom esem v'arba latshi, from the 24th day of the 9th month, which is the day before Chanukah, the day lemin hayom asher yusad heichal Hashem, from the day that the foundations of God's heichal were founded. Simu levavchem, pay attention. In other words, mark it on your calendar, the date that you started rebuilding the second Beis HaMikdash, and how your fortunes are going to turn for the good. Ha'oid hazera b'megura. Now this, we're continuing to talk about the way things were going bad before. Was there any seed in the silo? In other words, no. It's a rhetorical question. A very little seed remained in the silo. The Ibn Ezra says, Ha'oid ha'hei l'tema. It's a hei ha'tema. Uvavur ois ha'garoin niftach kemishpat. Like ha'oid avichai. You had very little seed in the silo. V'yad ha'gefen. Now what does it mean, v'yad ha'gefen? And the grape, v'hata'ena, and the fig, v'hariman, and the pomegranate, v'etz hazais, and the olive, loy nasa, did not bear fruits, min ha'yom hazeh avarech. But, says Rivan Shalom, from this day and on, I will bless you. So just pay attention to the fact that until you started taking the initiative, things were bad, and how things are going to turn around now. Says the Malbim, ha'oid ratzolaymar, ha'im yia oid kadavar zeh, shahaya adhena. The Malbim learns, always, the Malbim has an ingenious twist. The simple meaning was, well, there was no seed in the silo, but the Malbim learns, you think this would happen again? You think, no, ha'oid, well, what has happened until now, ha'oid, will it happen again? Will it repeat itself? No. In other words, the way that Ibn Ezra learns is the exact opposite of the Malbim. Ibn Ezra learns, did you have seed in the silo? And the answer is no. The Malbim learns, ha'oid hazara, you think this will happen again? And the answer to that is no. Right? The Ibn Ezra is saying it's going on the bad times. Malbim says it's going on the future good times. Okay. So the Malbim learns.
Dwelling in the bad time?
What?
They now within the bad time?
Yes. In other words, we're not talking about famine, but it sounds like things were very difficult. And the Malbim learns the same thing with the fruits. Will this happen again? It won't happen again. Okay? So now we're up to the next Nevuah of Chagai, the fifth and final prophecy of Chagai. Okay? Vayi devar Hashem shenis al Chagai. God came to Chagai a second time, the Esrim v'Yarba l'Chodesh Leimar, on the 24th day of the month. Emor el Zerubavel. Say to Zerubavel. Zerubavel, the son of Shealtiel, a direct descendant, the great grandson of Yechanya Melech Yehuda. Yeah? The great grandson of Yechanya. Now,
Can we say Zerubavel was also Nehemiah?
yes, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, I believe on Daf Lamed Ches, says that Zerubavel was Nehemiah. And I think we pointed out that the Rambam lists them as two different people, but the Gemara does say they're the same person. They were both Nizra Bavel and Varboisai. Who else do we remember when we learned to Ezra? Who is the Gilgal of Nehemiah?
Is he a Kohen?
Ram Gamliel was the Gilgal of Nehemiah. Right? And remember, we pointed out 3 times Nehemiah took credit for himself, and we said corresponding to that, Ram Gamliel acted in an authoritative way 3 times. Okay, so this is the third. He's prophesying now about Zerubavel. No question that Zerubavel was a scion of the Davidic dynasty. Okay, and the Navi had told Yechanya that Yechanya is such a Rasha that no descendant of yours will ever sit on the Malchus Beis David. But Yechanya did tshuva. He was languishing in a prison cell in Bavel, and the Chachamim pleaded with Nebuchadnezzar's wife, who asked Nebuchadnezzar, and they said, what's going to be with Malchus Beis David? And they lowered down his wife, and as he was about to live with her, she says, Kishoshana Aduma Ra'isi, I was Pirsa Nida, and he was never Zahir and Hilchas Nida in his entire life, and he said, I can't touch you, go to the mikvah. They sent her back up, she was toivel, back down, and she conceived, and from there came Zerubavel. Okay? So, Emor el Zerubavel Pachas Yudal Emor. Go tell Zerubavel, the governor of Yehuda, saying, Ani marish es hashamayim v'asaretz. I will quake the heavens and earth. What does that mean? What does that mean, I will quake the heavens and earth? Let us first see the Radak. So David says this is a Hanukkah story. Hold on to that. The Radak says, look in Radak on Chaf Aleph, Ani marish derech mashal. When we say we're going to quake the heavens and earth, it's a parable. Al milchama shahayu bizman malchus paras. It refers to wars that will take place under the Persian Empire. Va'amar sheyomar zeh el Zerubavel. And Chagai is being told to tell Zerubavel, levasroi, to let him know, ki ba'avra milchama sahem. Normally when a king endures war, it causes his success to diminish. But go tell Zerubavel that despite the fact that you're going to endure much war, your prestige, your honor will not diminish. Loi tishbal malasai, aval tigno ma'od, you will become only greater. Zehu sha'amar, and this is what we'll see in the upcoming pasuk. Ve'ekachacha, I will take you, v'samticha kechoisam, and I'll make you like a signet ring. When were these either in the days of Daryavesh, the son of Esther, or Artaxshasta, who came after him. That's the first possibility when Hashem says, I will quake the heavens and earth. The second pshat of the Radak, or maybe it's referring to the downfall of the Persian Empire and the rise of Yavan, V'schadesh Malchus Yavan. as the next pasuk is going to say, I'm going to overthrow the throne of kingdoms. Does anybody know how many years into Bayesheni, whereas the Persian Empire, did it crumble? It says Radak, that was 34 years into the binyan. That's when Paras was done. That's when Yavan rose up. In fact, the Radak quotes the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Malchus Paras b'fnei Abayis lamed dalet shana, Malchus Yavan b'fnei Abayis kuf pei shana, Malchus beis Chashmonai kuf gimel shana, Malchus Hordus kuf shana, Hare taf chaf shanim sha'amad bayesheni. This is very good Radak to know. Right? The second base of Mikdash lasted 420 years. So what's the cheshbon? The last 103 were Hordus. The 103 years before that were Chashmonai. That's 206. 180 of the Yavan. That's what? 386. And then 34 of Persia. Right? That's 420. Okay.
But Persia also was before the
correct
bias, right?
When Bavel fell,
lasted 34 years after the
into the bias
was built.
Right. Now, that's the pshat, two pshatim of the Radak. Ani Marashas Hashemayim V'Aretz either refers to the wars in the times of Zerubavel, in the days of Daryavesh or Artaxshasta, or it refers to the fall of the Persian Empire. The Mari Kara and says, what does it mean, I will quake the heavens and earth? It says it's referring to the wars in the times of the Chashmonaim, who rose up against the Yavanim and killed them. So to me it's very interesting, because we had this exact expression in the beginning of the second parak. I believe it's Pasuk Vav. It says, Ki choy amar Hashem tzvakos, oid achas ma'adhi, there's another small one, Va'ani marashas Hashemayim va'aretz. And Rashi said that when Paras falls, there'll be one more small one who rises against you. Now Rashi for some reason says it's a small one, right? That the Yavanim were a small empire, but in light of the Radak we just read, they ruled 180 years. The Persians ruled even less than that. So why is it called small?
And they were by no means small in terms of scope and power.
Unless you say the Greeks, they only their dominion as one complete empire was very short-lived, because by the time Alexander died, it was then divided into 4 empires. Now Alexander died at a very young age, so maybe it's called. In other words, what I'm asking is why is the Navi referred to Yavan as Oid Achas Ma'at? It was even small.
It's only talking about Alexander, not the rest of the empire. That was what, 30 years? He died.
Something.
32.
And he didn't start when he was 0 years old. I mean, right? Okay.
He doesn't refer to a time, a certain point.
Rashi says, Uma'at Yehizman Memshalta. In Rashi and Pasuk Vav,
referring to?
the Memshal of Yavan, Rashi says. No, because then he says, I will be marish in the miracles that have come times of the Chashmonam. Just in terms of language, I would agree with you that just like in Pasuk Vav, Ani marish the Shishman B'Asaros refers to the miracles of Chanukah. Here too, the Mari Kara says Ani marish the Shishman B'Asaros refers to the miracles of Chanukah. Not sure though, according to this Radak, that Yavan lasted 180 years, why it's Oid Achas Ma'an. Okay. And the Pachaf Beis. The Hafachti Kisei Mamlachos, I will overturn the throne of kingdoms, the Hishmadati, and I will destroy Chayzek Mamlachos Agayim, the strength of the kingdoms of the nations. V'Hafachti Merkava V'Rechveh, I will overthrow chariots and its rider. V'Yardu Susim Rechveim, and the horses and their riders will fall ish b'charav achav, each man by the sword of his brother.
Doesn't mean that by the sword of his brother, the family members were going to kill each other.
Sure, the Chashmonaim.
But it looks like one is killing the other, one brother is killing the other.
That's what they did. That's how they got
But this is not talking about Malchus Shava? It's talking about...
Well, depending on how you learned the last pasuk.
No, but it's not talking about the Chashmonaim, right?
Well, according to the Marikara, it's referring to our enemies. Which enemies? Either in the beginning of Malchus Paras, or according to the Radak,
The Greeks, they broke up
the
empire.
at the fall of Malchus
The
Paras.
empires were fighting each other. The subdivisions.
Seleucids against the Medes,
Solonical.
the Medes, and then that's how they...
Oh, now the Malbim, thank you. The Malbim says exactly what I just said. That the Ani Marish says Hashemayim v'Asaretz is the same Ani Marish Hashemayim v'Aretz as in Pasuk Vav. And now it's elaborating. Now,
In Pasuk Vav, it talks about a small one. Here it doesn't say that.
it doesn't qualify that. Now, so if you want to use the Malbim and put Rashi together, then just like before it was going on the miracles of Chashmam, then you would have to say over here also. However, the Malbim learns that this is all talking about Mechemes Gog u'Magog. That when it says that I will overthrow the thrones of empires and break the strength of Malchios, it will be Cherev Ish B'Yachiv, says the Malbim, that's the Mechemes Gog u'Magog, that like Yecheskel says, Cherev Ish B'Achiv Tia. And on that day, on that day, Zerubavel ben Shaltiel, Avdi Nom Hashem, I will take you, Zerubavel ben Shaltiel, my servant, says Hashem. V'samticha kachoisem, I will place you like a seal, ki v'cha v'charti, because you I chose, Noam Hashem Tzavakas.
What do you mean by a seal? What kind of...
Well, yeah,
is
what?
that?
Okay, good. Rashi, one second. Rashi learns that when it says I will break the strength of Malchios, it's talking about Persia. Persia now ruled over the whole world. They will fall into another Malchus at the end of 34 years. So it could be like this. Paras ruled over the world. Did Yavan rule over the world?
A lot of it.
So the Gemara in Megillah says Arba Malach Bekipa. Achashverosh,
Right.
Achav, who else?
Paro, then Paro.
Nebuchadnezzar. And Tosus asks, what about Alexander?
We had a Shiur about that one time.
What do you call it?
Malach Bekipa?
The whole world.
Three people ruled over the world. Achav, Achashverosh, and Nebuchadnezzar. In fact, Tosus, what about Alexander? Alexander is not mentioned in Tanakh. So I am still trying to figure out what does it mean. Why is Yavan called Ma'at? Okay, but I don't know. But Rashi learns. So what does it mean? Hashem is saying, "I'm going to make Zerubavel like a seal." Says Rashi. Take a look at this Rashi. Klape shenigzar Yechanya aviv. Since it was decreed on Yechanya, his father, Chai Onim Yeknayo ben Yayakum Choisam Ayad Yemini, that God said like this: if Yechanya would even be a seal on my right hand, Misham et Kancha, from there I will destroy you. And Hashem says, V'oimer Sham Kiswa Sa'ish Hazeh Ariri, right about Yechanya, he'll die childless. Lamadnu Shaha'ilu Loi Tshuvasai, we see that he did Tshuva. And why is Hashem promising he'll be like a seal? Because the language of curse that God used to punish Yechanya is when Hashem said, even if you would have been like a seal, from there I would remove you. So what Hashem is saying is, now I will place you like a seal. What's the metaphor to the seal?
Is it irrevocable? They say some mel.
See the Radak. Radak says v'samticha kachoisem hatabas, the ring shechoisem ba'aksavim, that you sign letters with nikra choisem, like we say in Shir Hashirim. Simeni kachoisem al libecha v'hatabasi loy tosar miyad adam. That ring is never removed loy b'yom v'loy b'layla. This means the metaphor is Rebbeinu Shalom saying my hashgacha will be so constant on you. And the Radak also points out from here, Chazal derive Gedoyle Tshuva, that it tears up a Gzar Din. Because Hashem had said about Yechanya, Kisva Isha Ariri, and he did Tshuva, the Gzar Din was Nepach L'Toiva, and he had a son in jail, and he said, even if Knayo is a Chosim Al Yad Yamini, and it was Nepach L'Toiva, and it was Nepach that now Hashem is saying, your son, Zerubavel, I will make him like a seal, because him I have chosen, No'om Hashem Tzivakais. And he brings down over here that some say that this is a nevuah about the future. Look in the Mitzudos. Ki b'cha b'charti, the descendants that come out of you, I have chosen that Mashiach should come forth from you. Mitzuda says, Ekach ish mizarach, I'll take a man of your descendants, v'ala Mashiach yamer, it's talking about Mashiach. And the Abar Banel conjectures, if Zerubavel is hearing word that he's being chosen, that his descendants will be Mashiach, which means sort of the Bayesheni, which had the potential to be the Geula Shlema, it wasn't happening now, it wouldn't happen until the much future. Eventually Zerubavel took that as a sign that it's not happening, and he left Eretz Yisrael and he went back to Bavel, and that's where he ended his life, in Bavel. So now we can.
Kocha was the guy who might have been.
Oh, who was he? We're still waiting.
It sounded like it would have been a closer period and way past.
Well, Bar Kocha, Rabbi Akiva says, but Baruch Hashem, the Gilgal of Achashverosh, Rabbi Yochanan ben Tairasa told Rabbi Akiva, grass should grow in your mouth before this guy is, yeah. So, okay, Rabbi say, this concludes Sefer Chagai. Mirz Hashem, next we will do Malachi, which is the final of the...
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.